Welcome to the Sankofa Pan-African series. Today, we will look at the glorious Benin Empire. But first, continue to support us by making sure your subscription and notification buttons are clicked on. Thank you. Now, although linguistically different from the Yoruba, the Edo of Benin, which also grew into an empire, are believed to be close relatives of the Yoruba. However, the two ethnic groups do not agree on how they are related. For a start, the Yoruba believe that Oronyo, son of Oduduwa, founder of the Yoruba race, was invited to Benin during a period of unrest. If you have watched our episode on Oyo, you will note that this son of Oduduwa, Oromiyo, is believed to have also founded Oyo. Now, it is believed that Oronyo went to Benin after being invited. He then settled there after freeing the people from their rulers who were oppressing them. However, the Edo people's oral tradition, while agreeing that Oronyo played a major role in Benin, they believe that it was from Benin that Oduduwa went and founded Ife. Please watch our episode on Ife and Oyo to get a clearer picture if you've not already done so. Now, the people of Benin call themselves Edo. According to Edo oral historical version, the land of Benin, which was originally called Igomidodo, had rulers who were called Ogiso. However, the people became disenchanted with these rulers and therefore sent for Oronyo, who the Edo people believed was their prince, since they also believed that Oduduwa migrated from Benin to found Ife. I don't want to get caught up in this wrangling, which is similar to that of trying to decide which comes first, the chicken or the egg. I continue to look to archaeologists and historians who hopefully will help settle this debate through scientific dating of sites and the artifacts, as well as rigorous historical research. Suffice it to say that Oronyo's son, Eweka, is regarded as the first Oba or king of Benin. The name Benin came later. It is believed to have come into use during the reign of Oba Eware the Great, because the kingdom's administrative center was known as Ubinu or Ibinu. It was this word that evolved into Benin, which some sources claim was how the Portuguese pronounced and recorded it. So the pronunciation was gradually adopted by the indigenes. The history of Benin spans a continuous period of hundreds of years, encompassing the first dynasty of Ogisos and that of the Republican rulers. Now, during which 31 kings reigned. According to the historian Egareba, the first started with Igodo and ended with Ogiamwe, and the second Oba dynasty, which started from Eweka the first, ended with the Oba of Oranwe. Edo kings shared authority with a hereditary order of chiefs, of powerful families and town chiefs of different guilds called the Uzama, until around the 13th century when Oba Ewado began to chip away at the power of the chiefs. Royal power became even more consolidated under the famous Oba Eware, who reigned from about 1440. He was a great warrior who expanded the kingdom and was the one who established a hereditary succession to the throne. The Benin Empire extended to Dahomey in the west, the Niger Delta in the east, along the West African coast, and to some Yoruba towns. Women wielded power in the empire, especially the Queen Mother. Eware also rebuilt the capital city and fortified it with walls and moats to protect it. The capital city was Benin, as I indicated earlier, which is currently still the capital of Edo State of Nigeria. The Oba of Benin was the supreme political, judicial, economic, and spiritual leader of his people. And he and his ancestors eventually became the object of state courts. Eware's grandson, Oba Esigi, further eroded the power of the Uzama and increased contact and trade with Europeans, especially with the Portuguese, who provided a new source of copper for court art. Later, this authority was diminished by the establishment of administrative dignitaries. It is pertinent to note that the Kingdom of Benin prospered due to regional trade with other kingdoms. However, in the 15th and the 16th centuries, Benin began trading with the Portuguese. These Europeans settled at Ugoton from 1487 AD and expressed interest in beads, cotton cloth, ivory, and slaves. While the king of Benin maintained strict control of this trade by through a royal monopoly, as he prohibited the sale or trade of some items. Now, under a succession of strong obas, Benin became a highly organized state and had some extremely gifted artists and sculptors who, like those in Ife, worked in brass, ivory, and wood. These artists and craftsmen were organized, very well organized, into guilds. Benin brassmiths and bronze casters have left their mark in the excellent, beautiful naturalistic heads, bas reliefs, and other sculptures which are recognizable all over the world. From the 15th through the 18th century, Benin traded in ivory, gum, palm oil, and pepper with Portuguese and Dutch traders. Traders in the Benin Empire, served as middlemen between European traders and other people in the interior of West Africa to get these goods and then sell to the Europeans and then buy goods from the Europeans to sell to the to the interiors. Now, the European contact with the Benin Kingdom was underpinned by their imperial interest, um, which was fueled by a desire to strip the kingdom of its entire valuables. They never meant any good for the empire. This was executed under the pretext of trade and Christianity. Unfortunately, the empire also participated in slave trade. By the 1700s, Benin became embroiled in dynastic disputes and civil wars. However, the empire sustained itself until its capital city was burnt and looted of its artworks by the British in 1897, under what they called the Punitive Expedition. In 1897, the British, who were entrenched in colonial trade and expansion in Africa, were determined to wrest the control of any remaining inland trade in the area, which now constitutes Nigeria. So one of the obstacles in their way was Oba Ovoranwe Nogbaisi, who was the ruler of Benin at the time. According to T.U. Obinya, in November 1896, the acting British consul made a formal request to England for permission to invade Benin City. There is evidence of the primary motive behind this invasion, which was financial, nothing else but financial, and the evidence can be found in a letter written by the British consul to the British Foreign Secretary, which survived. In that letter, he asked for permission to invade Benin and depose the ruler on the 17th of November 1896. Now, the letter survives in the archive dispatches to the Foreign Office from the Consul General, in case anybody wants to, look for it to ascertain its veracity. There was no doubt about it that they just wanted to dispossess the king and then loot the kingdom. Now the comes from the Oba's palace alone. The consul expected to find, and I'm continuing to quote from the letter. He expected to find sufficient ivory, which would be found in the king's house to pay the expenses incurred in removing the king from his stool. The British then embarked on a military expedition with soldiers who had their weapons, the soldiers hid their weapons by disguising them as luggage. However, some chiefs from another ethnic group, the Ishekiri, who are closely related to the Benin and who always interacted with them through trade, and whose trade had already been cornered by the British, got wind of this ploy to destroy Benin, and then they sent Ovoranwe a heads up. This gave the Benin chiefs, led by the Ologbosheri, the time to mount a fierce resistance which destroyed the British party, during which the consul was killed. Now, this gave the British a ready excuse to send an army made up of 1,200 Royal Marines, sailors, and Niger Coast Protectorate forces in what they called punitive expedition. Their mandate was to destroy Benin, the capital of the empire. after destroying and burning most major buildings of the city, this army of foreign invaders then embarked on massive looting. They carted off artworks and destroyed monuments. Although the official figures of the artworks carted off to Europe is only recorded as being about 2,500, it is most likely it was a lot more than this, because a lot of the looted artworks ended up in private hands in Europe, because the British colonial officers and their soldiers ended up stealing from their government by not reporting or handing over everything they looted. Now, after this inglorious event, Oba Ovoranwen Ogbaisi was then exiled to Calabar, where he died. What was left of the kingdom was then incorporated into British Nigeria. The descendants of Benin's ruling dynasty still occupy the throne in Benin City. Thanks for watching, and do continue to support us by telling your contacts about us, sending your questions and comments to our community page, and giving us a thumbs up. Also, watch out for our next episode, because I'll be talking to Dr. Richard Anderson of Aberdeen University about efforts to return some of the stolen Benin artworks. See you next time.